Yeah.
We're back. We're back.
Oh,
I think we fixed it. If you're watching, please, for the love of God, tell us if you can hear John Nichols.
Hey, John, want to talk real quick?
Yeah, I'm talking. We good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Thank you, people that are. Yeah, we fixed it.
Just do a clap.
I'm just doing a clap. There we go. He did a clap too.
I was very late. Sorry.
That's fine. A-okay. All right, I think we're ready to go for reals. Here we go. Here's the intro that I didn't write or read.
Good luck.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ahoy there, mateys. We are Was It Good? I'm your host, Ravi, and I'm joined by my two brothers, Christian and Arjuna, and we have a very special guest, Mr. Lajethrojenkins. And we are gathered here today to discuss the season finale of HBO's hit show, Lovecraft Country. So let's not even waste any time, not even a second, not even a minute. For real, we ain't going to waste no time at all. None, nada. Beautiful.
Wow. Wow. That was your best read yet.
Is that saying much?
No.
That is hurtful.
I think I see that every week now.
I think you do.
Oh, I have
You're kind of like Apple when they drop a new iPhone, the greatest iPhone ever, and you're like, that was the greatest reading ever.
That's true.
Just get
I
better
want
and better.
Apple to be like, yeah, this iPhone's not that great, but buy it anyway. I want to see how well that phone would do. I bet it would do better.
Probably.
I don't think so.
John, welcome again to the podcast. We've had you on before, talking about Lovecraft Country as well.
Yes.
I think we can just jump right in and say it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good.
What? Get out. You show yourself the door.
I was about to hang up. I was like, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
I will not part.
Yeah.
The old switcheroo, you didn't see that one coming.
I know that's a lie. You
No,
were
no,
so
definitely
you were
not.
so
Yeah.
into it.
I was
You were
very
so
I
into
was
it.
very into it.
so was I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Good shit.
John, what did you because I know we were texting back and forth when it dropped. Your initial thoughts, like right then and there, what were you thinking?
Like after it ended?
Yeah, well, even during, you said something I thought that stuck out, which was really interesting.
What part did I say?
You were saying the level of intensity and how intense everything felt.
Oh yeah, like for me, like I
Oh,
haven't
and
watched
John, I think we're losing you.
many. I mean, like,
Yeah,
you can't hear me.
You were breaking up a bunch.
No.
Just re-cue
Really?
the question.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
It was right here. Let me. So John, you and I were texting back and forth, and you had specifically were saying how intense everything kind of felt for you.
Yeah.
What was that like? And then when it was all done, did you feel a sense of relief?
I mean, it was just so emotional. Like a lot of the things that they were talking about, I'd never seen the story of Tick's father like it was told before on the show. Like, you know what I mean? So like we're seeing like like what he went through, his background. You know what I'm saying? And he's talking to his son, explaining that to him, and that was so beautiful to me. And then you look down, and this is like the episode before the last one. And like the back's there, so he's talking about he needed his son, and his son is actually the person that saved him. Like, so you know what I mean? So like metaphorically and in reality, he needed him. You know, but I mean like the also like at the end of the episode where he talks to when he has a letter to his dad, and he's saying like this is your chance to make up for what your second chance at fatherhood. Don't waste it.
Right.
And you can see in the father's eyes like how he's like super like he's just lost his son, but he's looking into the future. You can see he's like kind of lost, like. But I mean, it was to me the way the story was told, and it was in such like it was a fantasy, right? But it felt so real, and I think that was really interesting.
I know exactly what you mean. Even though it's weird because it takes place in the real world, in a real historical environment. There's still levels of fantasy, but then there's real life drama, like all the family stuff. So it's like a sandwich, like reality, fantasy, and then reality. It's like a reality, fantasy, reality.
Christian, are you
sandwich.
hungry?
Maybe a little bit.
He's actually been fasting for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't eaten since Sunday.
Why?
Is it because of the
Yeah.
show?
Why is this?
Why? Maybe I'm insane. I'm insane with hunger. No. That's a bunch of reasons, but we'll totally get off track if we go into that right
Okay,
now.
okay.
Speaking of things off track, once again, we are obviously live on twitch.tv/wasitgood. Feel free to jump in there. Talk to us. We're usually live every Monday, sometimes Friday. Really depends. But one of the funny comments that we got, and this one's directed at you, John, he has some Zach Wi-Fi happening. I do enjoy that Zach, another friend of the pod, Zach Schwartz, his Wi-Fi is now what we used to discuss, bad Wi-Fi in general.
That's great because it sounds like whack Wi-Fi.
Did we just have a dunk bait? Was it good crossover?
Yes,
reference?
it's almost like it's in the same cinematic universe.
There we
I
go.
hate this.
I'm enjoying that quite well. But to John's point, the Montrose, the character obviously played by Michael Kenneth Williams, he's probably, I think his character, his arc, the whole thing is probably one of the more interesting and shining pieces, of the entire show.
Absolutely.
Which is just great.
Michael K. Williams is a fantastic actor. And
Yeah.
if he doesn't win an Emmy for this, just close up shop and don't do the
Shut down
don't do the
Emmys.
awards anymore because it doesn't make sense. Like he in a show with a great ensemble cast, he is easily the best. And this is not a dig at anyone because there's a lot of fine performances in Lovecraft Country, but what he did throughout the 10 episodes, but specifically in this finale, and even episode 9 when they go back in time and he has to live that emotional
Tulsa again.
the Tulsa stuff, like that's the episode they need to submit because that's how they normally do it. They submit like an episode.
Yep.
That's the episode that HBO and Lovecraft and Michael need to submit for the Emmy nominations for 2021, and that should, in my opinion, easily win him Best Supporting Actor for a show because he's incredible in this. He's incredible in The Wire. He's an incredible actor. And he really elevates the show. And to John's point, I don't think there's any other actor who could pull off what he was able to portray as Montrose as such a complicated father. Because in most shows, he's a character that's easy to hate, right? He abused his son. He's this dark character, et cetera, et cetera. But they really found a way to humanize him. And he's one of my favorite characters because he is so layered and so complicated.
He's like 3 different characters in one. He's multiple characters.
Yeah.
That he was asked to play multiple characters, like the father, the lover. You know what I'm saying? And the guy that we see at the end of the show, or the season, are 3 different guys. You know what I'm saying? And all the emotions. I don't think anybody was asked to show more range than he was, in this season. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he was incredible, and he made somebody that was easy to hate initially hard not to love, so.
Right. Yep.
And like he had to portray basically losing his son 3 times, right? The first time when his son almost beat him to death. At that point, he's like, okay, my son's never going to talk to me again.
Yeah.
Then there was episode 9 where, he reveals to his son, I might not be your dad, or no, I'm sorry. When his son finds out that his dad is gay, right? And he's like, I'm disowning you. I don't want anything to do with you. That continues in episode 9, right? When
Yep.
they go back in time, it's like, we're done after this. So he loses him a second time. Then he actually loses him in episode 10 when they finally have reconciled and they're at maybe the best spot they have been in their relationship. He actually loses his son. And he does, and I think that portrayal is fantastic.
I'd be, obviously we're jumping a little bit ahead here. If there's a season 2, what does the season 2 look like? Is there going to be a time jump? Does Montrose play a piece in it? I'll just say this now. If there is a season 2, I would love that character is still there because I would want to see how that character develops and changes, because he loses a son. He gains a grandson. How does he change? What do we see from him? Would be fascinating and once again just adds to his arc. But that's.
Do you think he can come back?
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there at the end. We're gonna first digest this entire episode, throat choking and skull crushing and all.
That was beautiful. I've never seen a larynx burst and thought that was art.
Oh,
I was so excited to see that. It was a beautiful moment in cinematic history.
The last shot with Dee and the what are those things?
And her pet.
Yeah, and the pet dog and with the moon and everything.
Yeah.
Like that's a poster I'd want. in
Yes.
like on my wall because it's so beautiful, like with the destruction,
Merry
and
Christmas.
death, and
I'm
everything
go-
around
what
it.
I'm going to do for
So good.
Christmas is I'm going to get a screen cap and then I'm going to print it out in the shittiest quality
I was gonna
possible.
say, do like 144 pixels.
Yes,
So
it's going to be
just blurry.
complete garbage for you.
2 pixels.
But let's break that down a little bit, because out of everything that we saw, even with Tick dying and everything, I still think that end shot of Dee crushing Christina's throat was overly violent, like most of the show has been, and it was definitely shocking.
Yes.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah.
And I guess the question I have for everyone here is, do you think that was too left field, like completely out of her character, or do you think that makes sense? What's the thought there?
Have you watched this show?
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I'm just asking for the sake of asking.
anything makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Hippolyta went through the multiverse 220 years and came back and she said, I'm using everything I learned to save my daughter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Her, you know what I'm saying? She's walking around with blue hair in like the 50s,
Super
the 40s
Saiyan
or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it makes sense that Hippolyta, who traveled to the future, the past, right, left, every direction possible, could make a bionic arm for her daughter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that bionic arm can be used to, burst the larynx.
It was more like a
Like
pop
a
pop.
brick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was a perfect end because the whole episode, I mean, like John said, the whole show is pretty shocking, right?
Yeah.
It goes in places you don't even think. But and that idea of the show willing to go anywhere was really highlighted in this last episode. Like a couple things, right? Tick dying.
Mm-hmm.
Not many shows will have the cojones to just kill off your protagonist.
To follow through on the obvious, like this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. You expect a turn. You expect him to survive
Sure.
somehow.
I don't think I was expecting that, though. I think I was expecting it to not turn.
To not turn.
Like,
okay.
when they showed the happy moment right before,
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way it's going to end happy.
Yeah.
When they were writing, singing songs together,
Yeah.
I knew he was dead.
Yeah. I meant, so going into the last episode, I think my prediction last week was that we'll
Tick.
figure out Tick was going to live.
Tick was going to survive.
We won't know how. So, but you're right though. Once the episode starts and the vibes that you're getting, you're like, ooh, things are not going to end the way you want them to.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see Ruby, like, even though Christina says that Ruby's dead, we do see that little shot where she's lying in bed. So I think she's actually in a coma. I don't think she is dead.
Well, so the skin changing thing, right? She has to keep the patients comatose.
Yeah.
But Christina still refers to them as like brain dead, essentially.
Yeah.
So we know Blonde Man is dead. Like he's pretty dead. He's
Henry,
just,
right? Isn't it?
I forget what his.
Wasn't it William?
William. That's right, William.
William.
Yeah.
So William is dead, but he's just kind of being kept vegetable
Yeah.
style. The ones we really don't know about is the white woman who Ruby takes on, and if Ruby is actually dead or in a coma or can be revived
Brain
or
dead.
what.
Yeah.
We'll get into theories of if there's a season 2 and whatnot, but I think it was that was a pretty shocking decision. I didn't see that coming. It does make sense, that they're going to do a body double. They had introduced this whole element of like you can wear anyone's skin.
Totally.
But I still thought it was well done. It was a twist you should have seen coming, but I didn't see coming until they finally had that conversation. It was like, oh.
More shocking things. After Christina / Ruby pushes Letty off, she reverses the invulnerability so that Letty lives. Like that's another twist that I'm just like, oh, that's.
And that was
really
because
interesting.
Christina made a promise to
Yeah.
Ruby, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That she wouldn't harm the.
So was
the
Christine
system.
really a bad person?
No, like everyone in the show.
Yeah.
Like everyone in the show,
She was-
she's got some good parts and some bad parts.
Here's a question I have. When
She's a horrible person.
John,
Go
you're
ahead.
John, you're saying she's a horrible person or bad?
I think she's a horrible person that has some
Yeah.
good qualities, but they're not redeeming qualities.
Not
She's
at
still
all.
a trash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but she had. I mean, there's balance. Bad people have good qualities, but I don't think her good qualities are enough to redeem her as a good human
She
being.
deserved
You know what I mean?
the robot arm to the throat.
Hitler was a painter.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Well, that's the thing, right? Hitler
Yeah.
was a painter, right? He was an artist. He could
Painting
he could
doesn't
draw and
redeem
paint.
you.
But what I'm saying is like not purely bad people, right? Hitler being the prime example
Yeah.
of like
How did
one
this
of the
podcast
worst-
get to Hitler?
one of the worst people, right? he could
He was an
still
artist.
produce, he could produce art, something that's
Yeah.
considered beautiful and beneficial to society. But my question for everybody here is, Christina obviously found out about the Book of Names and actually confronts our
Avengers. Yes. Let's
And
call it what it is. The Avengers assembled in
when
this.
the Avengers in the garage, and she's like, "Hey, if you give me the Book of Names, I promise you I'll leave you all alone.
I promise.
I promise I'll leave you all alone and figure out a way to do the spell without harming you."
Mhm.
From what we saw with Christina keeping her word to Ruby, reviving Letty, do we think that she actually would have done that?
No. Because there was
No.
no way around she needed the blood
Well,
of Tick.
we don't know that. She was only going off. She didn't have the Book of Names. She was going off a very limited knowledge of what they know of magic, right? The Book of Names opens up a ton of possibilities, and that's the impression I get. Like, they're doing grade 1 magic when they're still, you could get a PhD in magic, right? They're doing grade 1. They're doing like basic arithmetic. So there could have been a way.
Wait, is
give
this
her-
how Harry Potter starts?
Yep. So you're saying they're doing year 1 level magic
Yeah, they're
versus
doing
Horcruxes.
They're doing first grade magic.
is it Hallows or Horcruxes?
Yes.
What team are you on?
Not neither.
But that gives her so much power, right?
Exactly.
They didn't want her to have that level of power. That is extremely dangerous for somebody with like that moves like her to have that. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I think the what they were trying to do in the end was bigger than just Tick.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what
How
her.
they're trying to take magic away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
From all white
From
people.
white. Yeah. So, he was willing to take that L. That's what they said. Right,
It's true.
I'm saying verbatim what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically,
So-
take the L. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was bigger than just Tick, and Tick was willing to take that L
Yeah.
to save, everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's for me, like in terms of like, as Christian was saying, a lot of shows will present, the main character is going to die, but then something will happen.
Yeah.
But what this show did, which was really interesting, like John said, Tick took the L, and he basically does that thing, which is sacrificing oneself for the greater good.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be, I think, one of the core things that make us human. I don't know.
That's an ideal, I think, that people would like to strive to.
Right.
That very few ever achieve.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
But
few.
Tick.
Not to the point of death for sure.
Yeah, no, that's extreme.
Right. Your own death. You're like, does humanity really need this? Maybe not.
And I think they do a great job of showing that arc from the very first episode, right? There is this, because he is a soldier, there is a sense of everything I go into could be my last, right? I could die at any moment, and I feel like he goes through that. He is reckless a lot during this show. He recklessly goes into things without thinking about it, and he certainly has a few close calls, but
He's over emotional a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he finally, and I think they did a really good job of showing that he's not going in. He's like, I'm gonna die for the greater good, and I'm, gonna do it. It's not like the Hollywood ending, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, I don't give myself. Like, he's scared, and that's very human. And I think they showed that he is, when they show that last shot between him and Letty when he finally sees her as he's bleeding out on the board, like, there's clearly a love between them, but there's a sense of sadness. He's like, I love you, and I'm scared, and now I'm dying, and like, this is it. And I thought Jonathan Majors, the actor, did a great job showing that. It's not that Hollywood like, oh yeah,
It's not like Empire Strikes Back when Han goes into the carbonite and Leia's like, I love you, and then Han's like, I know, and it's all like badass. It's more realistic. So.
You could even see regret in his eyes, which I thought was a great, like it was like there was like in that sadness. I also saw regret when he looked at Letty. You know what I mean? Like, of course you hate that this has to happen. It has to happen, though. You know what I mean? So I thought he did an incredible job. The whole series, but in those final scenes, they were great. So
Yeah. Actually, we have a comment here. The letter to Montrose was a great touch too. So that letter from Tick.
Yeah, I think like we said near the top of the show, it really sets up Montrose. It ties up his arc in season 1 and really opens him up. If there is a season 2, and if they do continue on with the same set of characters, in terms of where does he go from here? Does he become more bitter and angry because he lost his son over
Magic.
this magic? And he's not just lost his son, right? He's lost his brother.
Yep.
At the beginning of the season. So Montrose is a man who has had a lot of loss in this show, and we know loss can really teeter you onto the edge, and maybe that does for Montrose going forward.
One of the things, just to kind of wrap up the conversation on Tick, one of our editors actually from work, I won't say who, as everyone during the night was praising Tick and being like, he's a great guy, blah, 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 all the sacrifice, this editor put out there, so I guess we're just all going to forget the war crimes that Tick committed.
Well, he has the one scene I thought the one scene that we haven't talked about yet was the final scene between Tick and Gia at the hotel, which has the hilarious line where Gia says to the random guy, she's like, would you be willing to die to fuck me? Like, such a great line.
Whoa, Juno.
Such
Whoa.
a great line, first of all.
What did you
Baby.
ask?
And you know what? He hesitated. The guy hesitated for a
think about
second.
it.
He was like,
Definitely
he's like,
hesitated.
no, I guess not.
That's what he looks
But
like.
first off, iconic line. But second off, when he comes and they have the talk, and he's like, you were important to me, and then he talks about like we can be monsters and we're heroes. And
Yeah.
he talks about that gray that everybody has because, especially those two characters, Gia physically is a monster, right? She has she's the fox spirit, and she has those monster qualities, but she can also be this tender person who is capable of love and care. And I think Tick's talking about himself as well. Like, he was a monster in the war. He did horrendous things. He was a monster in this show. He did horrible things throughout the show that we saw. But
What did he do in the show outside of the war crimes?
Well, I mean, it's mostly the war crimes, I would say, is the big stuff.
Oh, he beat up his dad.
Beat the crap out of his father.
he judged his dad. He judged his dad for being.
Beat the hell out of my dad too. Like, I mean, dude, your dad beat your ass like that. Your dad earned the ass whooping.
All right, that's fair. That's fair enough,
If my dad whooped my ass like that, I would have stuck his ass.
That's hilarious.
Dick did what he was supposed to do. Preserve self. You feel me?
I would like to reiterate that this podcast does not condone beating the ass of your father.
Domestic abuse, but you know what I mean?
Unless he deserves it.
Doesn't deserve it.
Yeah. Montrose earned that ass whooping.
To his credit, he took it. Montrose
Yeah.
took it. He didn't resist.
That's
Yeah.
true.
He took the whooping. He was ready to die at that point because
Yeah.
if no one had stopped Tick, Montrose would have died in that episode.
And again, my only knock on the show is that we didn't see a young version of Montrose actually beating Tick to get the full impact of that ass whooping by Tick to Montrose. That is my only contention. I understand why they did it too.
Yeah.
But even if it's just like a quick flashback just to understand, being shown instead of told that Montrose did these horrible things.
I think they redeemed themselves a little bit in 9 when they showed how Montrose's dad was.
Sure.
So
true.
that's basically
true.
Montrose as a kid is the proxy for, it's learned behavior, it's
Yeah.
what he experienced,
Absolutely.
and it's
That's a great point.
continued as a cycle.
Yeah, and that was really effective. I think I don't know the name, but the actor that they got to play Montrose's father, he's great.
He's from he's in the CW show Black Lightning.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He's not the main guy.
No, he's like one of the side villains. The character's
Y'all
name
watch
is
a lot of
Lala.
TV.
There's not a whole lot to do.
Correction.
y'all watch-
Arjuna
TV.
watches the CW.
I used to watch the CW shows. I quit.
Yeah, you're an addict.
I'm on my path.
You're like this.
No, I'm on my path to recovery from the CW Arrowverse.
All right, but you have to treat it like any other addiction. Once an addict, always an addict. You have to remember that.
No, you're right.
Oh, okay, well.
That's why
yeah.
I canceled our subscription to the CW.
We had a subscription?
No.
Oh, thank God.
I don't think you can.
I don't know. I believe it.
That's horrifying. I would say,
What-
in terms of,
what is
let's. Oh, go ahead, John. Sorry.
One thing that bothered me about the show was how what's the head vampire magician white lady?
Christina.
What's her name again? Christina. How she found out about the Book of Names. Out of all places that guy goes to, he goes right in front of Christina. And I'm like, as crazy as the show is, that was like too. I'm like,
I have a theory on that because Christina is also related to Titus, right? And that's who he was.
Okay.
So I feel like he was transported basically between being around
Family?
Yeah,
Tick,
family.
his family, and
Yeah.
then Christina,
Attracted
his
to the
family
blood.
as well. I think that's why he was quote unquote transported.
I don't
Maybe.
know why, but when Tick had to eat, Titus's
Oh
skin,
God, yeah.
I almost threw up.
I didn't think that was. I got kind of hungry, to be honest.
That's disgusting.
That's
kidding.
weird.
But I wasn't grossed out by it. John's reaction. We're gonna clip that right there, and that's gonna be a GIF. That's a was it good GIF.
There you go.
That'll live
Boom.
forever.
Brand the hell out of it.
Yep.
No, my knock, my only knock, and I think you all should know what it is if you all know me well.
Is it the CGI?
No, CGI except for the fire sequence in the hall. What the fuck?
Okay, I've been harping on that since when they showed the first stream. I was like, they clearly shot the dream stuff after.
Yes.
And
ran out of money.
I would say the bad CGI of this week is when Tick's ancestor, the great-great-grandmother,
Yes.
hands him the fire flame spell.
Yeah.
In the dream, I was like, what is that?
I'm shocked you didn't say
This
anything.
reminded me of the Key and Peele sketch.
I was gonna say.
with Wendell when they run out of the budget for the epic
Yeah,
fantasy
well,
music
oh,
video.
man.
Yes,
And he's
yeah.
like shooting out the
Yeah, the little-
pixelated fireball.
Yep.
It was that bad.
Yeah, it felt like something I could do in like a day. And be like, oh, look how impressive this is, but it's not. No, my only main knock on the thing was in the beginning, in the first thing that we see of this show is that insane dream sequence with Cthulhu, with Jackie Robinson, with Sexy Alien, with UFOs.
Oh, it all came true.
Most of it. I wanted to see more Alien,
Season 2, baby.
like more.
Season 2.
I get Hippolyta went to the future and then did this whole multiverse thing, and it's
Yeah.
most likely an evolved state of human beings.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see aliens.
I don't know if it was Alien, maybe it was Monster, and he beat the shit out the monsters in the show.
True.
Yeah.
In that episode, the monsters were not aliens. You know what I'm saying? It was the racists that were in Tulsa, and he beat the shit out the monsters. You know what I'm saying?
That was
So-
definitely very, very satisfying. This show has done a really good job of, beating the living crap out of racist assholes. Another show, spoiler season 2, The Boys, that does a really good job of beating the shit out of racist assholes.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
So, I mean, I'm wondering when we're going to get a genre that just says beating the shit out of racist assholes.
Nice.
Apparently, it's
Sign me up.
sci-fi.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be sci-fi.
shouldn't
It should be factual.
Oh yeah, that's also a good point. Damn.
What
whole
did you got? I mean, I didn't think the finale was perfect.
No,
What?
Nothing is
Um,
perfect.
What?
in this
And
world.
actually,
except Watchmen.
it
Watchmen's
was
perfect.
perfect.
And
Besides CGI.
in fact, with with the scope of the show, there's so many good episodes. I would even say it's actually one of the weaker episodes comparatively to the other 10.
What?
You
A
know?
good episode is a good
It's good.
episode of
Yeah.
TV, but not based upon how good,
Really?
good
Absolutely,
the season's been.
and some of my issues is just kind of the convenience that comes with the finale, right? And that starts with Gia, right? We had the whole Gia episode, and her whole thing is, oh, I'm there for the darkness, literally to use my fox tentacles to combine them and do it. And it was just like from a writing perspective, it was just, very convenient and it
Yeah.
all worked out. And I was just like, I wish there had been more with her character, especially with how they set it up. Instead
Sure.
of just being like, you are a plot device to literally make the spell work. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
if there is a season 2, I don't know where her character goes. You know what I mean? Is there even a purpose for her character at this point?
Well,
I don't know.
Something about darkness and becoming one with the darkness.
Well, she literally did, right? Like she literally went in front of the darkness.
oh, that's what that.
Yeah,
refers to.
like her whole
Yeah.
arc is now done.
Is she free? Does she still have to
I think she's-
kill one more man before something?
Well, she offered it to that guy at the hotel,
Yeah.
and he didn't take it. So it's some of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That was just very convenient.
I do agree because I think my second I straight up disagree with both of you. This was my favorite episode. Recency bias is a thing, and I'm prone to it, of course. But it was I just absolutely loved this finale. But my second favorite episode is probably the Tick Gia episode where we have the flashback and that whole encounter. So I do agree. I definitely do agree that Gia does feel like a huge letdown because that character is so good in that episode, and then everything that comes after is just weak.
What episode was that? Was that 7 or was that 8?
It might have been 6.
Really?
With the flashback where with Tick in the war.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was 6, but I could be wrong. It could be 7.
It's funny. This is a show I don't remember by numbers. I just
Yeah.
remember like what happened in them.
Moments.
I don't necessarily remember the order either, but like there, I think you said it last week, but each episode is so distinct and has such a unique style and different. There's a lot of great stuff.
Oh, I think one of my favorite parts of this episode is when Montrose or Tick refers to the treasure hunt. Which is like how we refer to that, like that episode. That episode is the Indiana Jones episode. Like the characters themselves are referring to the moment.
Well, we went on that fucking treasure.
Yeah,
hunt.
the treasure hunt
yeah.
and the monsters.
The Indiana Jones episode.
Yeah.
Love it.
So actually, looking back at the entire season, 10 episodes. What would you're saying episode 6 is your favorite?
But probably maybe my second favorite. The finale to me was just so good because there was like 3 or 4 iconically shocking moments. The hand, Diana's robot hand. I was like, here's the beginning of the Terminators. The Ruby reveal, and then pushing off Letty, and then also reversing the invulnerability spell.
So that
Tick actually dying. All of that to me, I was just like, wow, this is great.
Letty's fake out death kind of pissed me off a little bit too. It just
Okay.
seemed convenient. That like, oh, I promised Ruby. Like the whole Ruby arc, I also felt was kind of like,
Interesting.
like it was kind of just poorly handled. Like you kind of set up this character and she just kind of died, right? And then it's like, oh, we use her as basically the decoy, and then like, oh, I kill Letty, but I'm gonna revive her anyway, and then she's gonna be my undoing. And I don't know. When I saw Letty fall, I thought there would be. I didn't think she was
dead?
necessarily. I thought they actually killed her. Like when it
I did
first
too.
happened, I was like, wow. Like I did not see that coming. Like they've changed time. Like we've all heard about George the son and like it all existing and everything. And like, oh yeah, she's gonna survive. I was like, wow, they actually killed her, and like this is a consequence, and that things are gonna go like wrong and horrible, and then something's gonna change it all or whatever. Not necessarily like all be undone, but something different would happen. And I just felt like she falling off and then being revived, even if the circumstances weren't exactly what I predicted. Like I didn't think Christina was gonna revive her, but it just it seemed kind of obvious. Like it kind of seemed like, oh, that. We're gonna have a fake out, and this is the fake out, and then she's gonna come in and save the day.
Well, it was a team effort. It wasn't just her.
Yeah.
To save the day.
Right.
Yeah,
Remember, Gia was the
the
connector.
the other plot device.
The other plot devices. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I think the I Am episode, which is episode 7, was a really, really good one.
Is that the Hippolyta episode?
That's the Hippolyte episode.
That's probably one of my
I
favorites.
mean, I definitely like that because of the concept of, naming yourself and naming wherever you want to be. That is a new concept that, in the space-time continuum I have not seen or not seen in that way. So I thought that was pretty cool. I've also been rewatching a lot of Doctor Who lately, so
Yeah, too much.
yeah,
It's a bad habit. of
Yeah, it
yours.
is. That's yeah. Oh boy, I need new hobbies.
John, did you have a favorite episode?
Yeah, I would say episode 9 really, really rocked me. I would say that was the most emotional one, but the like you said, the I Am one, like I think 6 through 9 was some of the best television I've seen in a long time. Those episodes, and I would say those are better than actually the finale. Not making obviously the finale was great. I just feel like those were perfect episodes. But I Am one that said like that universe is not big enough to hold her, and I was like that in particular really moved the hell out of me. Where she's a black woman, you know what I'm saying? So she's dealing with racism and sexism, you know what I'm saying, in this world. And she's experiencing these other worlds and she's doing other things and moving a particular way. And she's like, this world is like the role she has to play is too small for her to go back to this world. But she goes back before her daughter. You know what I mean? For me, and then also when she said she learned she was there for 220 years, she's using everything she can, all that information to come back in and save her daughter. That to me, that's a parent. Like I remember I've talked to like parents that said if there was an option where they had to like die for their child, it would be like a dutiful thing. Like, okay, what do I need to do? You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be. Yeah, they said it'd be like, okay, what do I need to do? Like they would be sad, not because they were dying, but because they wouldn't be able to spend more time with their child. And I'm thinking like, when she said that, that hit me in my chest, bro. You know what I mean? But I think to me, that was an episode of television. The way they told that story, I'd never seen it before. And I think the message of that story was a message I never heard before. And I just thought that was like beautiful, right? That was a masterpiece to me.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think you guys all picked really good episodes. Those were all some of my favorites. I mean, I really like the Indiana Jones episode because it is an adventure. I know that was the last one we had John on for. That's a great one.
Yep.
Episode 8, the D episode with Diana, kind of being the main star.
Jigaboo?
Yeah, with
Jigabobo?
with the two.
That was art.
That was art, and that was legitimately scary with like the two girls.
The music choice that the scoring in that was just was perfect.
But I think my favorite episode, I still go back to the pilot, like the episode that sucked me into the show, was incredible, and it's funny to think about. Like that was with Uncle George, who was my favorite character in that pilot. I'm like, wow, this is such a great character. I'm like, I'm excited for a full season.
Don't get attached to him.
And then he died in episode 2, right? And like we
thought he was gonna come back. We were like, nah, he's not dead.
Yeah,
he's coming back.
And
he's coming back.
He did, and he really only came back in I Am. That's it. He didn't come back anywhere else. And I'm glad that they let that death kind of sit and marinate. But episode 1 to me really set up the show. It showed that this show was going to be something really different. It was going to be a mix of genres, and it wasn't going to be just one thing. It wasn't just going to be a horror show. It wasn't just going to be a sci-fi. It wasn't just going to be a drama. It wasn't just going to be a historical piece. It was going to be a little bit of things you've seen, but a lot of things you haven't seen either. And I think that pilot was so strong, and it hooked me. I was like, I don't care if the rest of the show is bad. Like, I'm going to watch it throughout just because that pilot was so good. And just watching in terms of hoping it gets back to that if it's not good. And it was. It was really, really good.
Nice.
I have a question for y'all because y'all are like big in television and y'all like have seen things that I have never seen or whatever. But like, have you ever seen a television show tell a story in this way before? With all the mixed genres and whatnot?
Oh, with this many genres? I
like,
can't think of a single one.
This is probably one of the more unique, or it's probably the most unique television show out there because I think you hit the correct nail on the head right there where you've got horror, you've got fantasy, you've got science fiction, you've got drama, you've got, real world issues embedded in there. I can't think of anything that I personally watch that kind of, I mean, this is going to sound cheesy and corny or whatever, but, I always go back to the original, like, Star Trek. It was one of those shows where it's dealt with real-world issues in a futuristic science. It's classic science fiction. But, even that was never on a scale or done in such a way like this, where you've got these very distinct, beautiful episodes that, like John perfectly said, which talk about things that, with parenting and that we can find relatable.
This show to me is what a lot of those classic sci-fi shows tried to do. The Star Treks, Stargate, Doctor Who, right? Where it is a sci-fi show, but they try to hit on a lot of genres and a lot of different subject matters because of budgets and constraints and really just like how TV has been done for so long. It was kind of a weak imitation. This is what I think is the ideal sci-fi show, or what sci-fi shows have tried to be. So I think to answer your question, no, I've never seen a show like this in all the shows that I've watched. I think this this is to me, this is one of my favorite shows that I've ever seen on TV because it is so diverse. And I feel like other shows have probably tried it, but it's been unsuccessful because it is hard
Yeah.
to balance so much and not lose the audience and keep that attention. And I think they did. I think they struck it just right. They made every character is memorable. This is a show. I think when we started talking about the show, we were like, who is this and who is that? And now, without looking at a computer, it's like Tick, Montrose, Letty. The characters.
Yeah.
They're distinct. They're memorable. And I just think it's so well done. There are other shows that have been successful really focusing in on a genre and a time period and that type of stuff, but I don't think there's been anything like this.
I think Watchmen maybe was pretty close in terms of telling a very, that is a alternate timeline to
Right.
our own actual timeline, and they did a really good job in terms of tying into like real world events and mixing a little bit in terms of genres with drama, science fiction, and that type of stuff, which is interesting because you've got some of the same writing staff, some producers and such, and from Watchmen that worked on.
I don't think it's a ton of carryover.
It's not like a lot, but there's a
I
little
think there's
bit.
a couple
Yeah.
because they're both HBO shows.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean these are the type of shows as we kind of enter the new streaming age. I think a lot of executives will look at a show like Lovecraft and be like, this is what we want because this is you can't get this in a movie theater, right? You can't
No.
get this in a 92-hour type of movie. You can't get this on a network show on like an ABC for like 22 episodes from September to June. You couldn't. This type of storytelling can only kind of be done in this format.
Now, kind of shifting gears here, we got a question in our comments. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. We're obviously being very, very positive, but, we also like the negative here.
We do.
Does anybody have a character that they found annoying? And I don't want to go off of the obvious, like, yes, all the racist characters were annoying and Jackass.
Or just least favorite.
But, like, a character that you...
Yeah, for sure.
Which one?
No.
Yeah.
I was agreeing with.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
is there a character that you just kind of found annoying or found that shouldn't be there, or et cetera?
This is a two-part question in my mind.
Mhm.
Is there any characters that you absolutely hated?
Mhm.
And this would be built on the strength of the character. There's such a easy character to hate, and that's Christina.
Right.
Like she just rubbed. You just hate like every time she's on the
Yeah.
screen. She was up to no good. She was conniving. She was super smart.
She looked like a vampire.
That's a reason to hate someone?
Well,
Just like-
I'm saying there's all these good reasons. She has
Oh,
all these qualities
gotcha.
that she used to her advantage. These
Right.
weapons.
Right,
you
so
know?
Krishna hates smart people.
That's true. I do hate smart people.
Conniving is smart is something.
Yeah.
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 If she's not smart,
Yeah.
conniving is smart.
Yeah.
That's worthy of.
And the fact that she had like one redeeming quality made her even more unlikable, right? The fact
Yeah.
that she wasn't all bad, she wasn't completely evil, right? Made her that much more like real and unlikable. So the character is amazing. I like how good or how effective the character is at making me dislike her. But then going back to which character I think was the most ineffective, and we've already said, I think Gia.
Yeah.
And which is a shame because the first time you see her, I really thought she was so strong, and then, and there's probably more to that character that could make her very likable,
Yeah.
but it wasn't explored in the scope of this show.
Right, and the actress did like Jamie. I think the actress name was Jamie Chung. She did a really great job in that episode, in her first appearance, and I think it was just kind of getting into that end game, trying to tie the arc up. The character just kind of fell by the wayside. It became a plot device, and that's not the fault of the actress. It's sometimes how shows go. But I would agree with you. I think she's not my least favorite character, but definitely the least effective.
Who's your least favorite?
I think for me, my least favorite character has to probably be
William.
He's not even a real character.
I know. Because he's in a coma the
My
whole time.
least
What a
favorite
weakling.
character is Titus. No, I think my least favorite character, in terms of just how the show went with the arc, has to be Ruby.
Wait, your least favorite?
Yeah, it would be Ruby. Just because I felt like her arc, and maybe this is to your point. Maybe she does, if there's a season 2 and it follows these characters, maybe she does show up and there's more to her. But just kind of her back and forth with Letty felt like it never really evolved to me, right? It was still the same conflict from the beginning to the end of family and how they perceived it. And it never, when so many other relationships grew, like Montrose's and Ticks and Letty's and et cetera, like that one to me just felt like it was kind of stuck in the mud and they were never able to kind of move it forward. And I just feel like the character of Ruby had that great, also disgusting episode with the metamorphosis and everything. But her character, even though she physically went through metamorphosis, the character never went through a metamorphosis, and then it just kind of ended. So, not a bad character, just my least favorite in the pantheon.
She died sacrificing for her sister, who, when she said to her sister, feels a lot like, very similar because her sister always asking her to do something or hitting her when she needs her. You know what I'm saying? I thought like her dying, sacrificing for her sister, sacrificing love that she had found for her sister. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was, redeemable. You know what I mean? But I like Ruby's character personally.
Yeah, I did too. I liked that she was so stubborn, which led to some of her flaws.
Sure.
And I thought the portrayal was really good. But I totally understand where you're coming from because
for sure.
It seems like in terms of character, she didn't change as dramatically, or we didn't see enough of the change on screen. But I did. I actually enjoy it. She was actually, I think, probably my second favorite character, just in terms of the portrayal and her sass. And
it's funny. I liked her a lot, especially after the Ruby episode. But I think from that point, what was frustrating to me was just kind of her working with Christina, and then just kind of the constant Christina showed a lot of bad qualities, and she picked up on it. Christina not caring about what was going on around them. Some of those secrets and stuff, and she still kind of kept going back to her. Her sacrifice was admirable, to John's point and everything, and it did kind of complete her arc in terms of that back and forth. I just wish there had been. It just felt like to me there was something missing in terms of her transformation.
Interesting.
Definitely. So I think we're at that point where we want to talk about Season 2 and predictions. And we have a couple of comments. We can definitely see them here in the chat. One of the comments from Yotis Phil?
Yo, it's Phil.
It's Phil. No, I like mine better. Yotis Phil. Do you think, for Season 2, do you think this show continues this storyline, or do you think it's an American Horror Story type where it will be based on a different Lovecraft book? And then we actually had somebody respond there, More Medics, which is Matt Rife, who is the author of the Lovecraft Country book. He was on For All Nerds podcast last month and said he had already given showrunner Misha Green a rough draft of a sequel to the book.
Nice.
Boom, boom,
boom.
Now, well, that doesn't really answer. I guess the main question here is, and this is for everyone on the pod here, do we think a Season 2 is going to keep these same characters, follow along what's happening, or do you think it's going to go with a new set of group of individuals in this universe?
I think it's going to keep at least some of them because it's already set up things to explore, right? We've already mentioned Montrose becoming, being a grandfather. Mm-hmm. Diana has a robot arm now. That's a whole new set of powers and abilities and a pet monster that I think I would love to see her explore. Not to mention, that curse might still live inside of her, right? Like, we don't know exactly, or did they completely?
No, they pulled the curse out of her in Magic Land.
That's right, they did, didn't they?
Yes.
But still, there's that. Hippolyta is, still around. I'd love to see what she
Can she get to Super Saiyan level 5?
Can she get to Super Saiyan 5? Yeah. Absolutely. Ultra Instinct. White people no longer have magic. That's got to be consequences,
and there's
right?
still people in the order.
How's the world gonna look?
Yeah. How's the world? And there's still there's people in the order now who have presumably lost their powers.
Yes.
What does that look like? What's their retribution gonna be? What spells or what lengths are they gonna go to get their power back? Because nobody wants to lose power. That's just human nature.
Also, the line of Titus is with the deaths of Christina and Tick, and before the birth now of Tick's unborn son George, no one is alive right now in that bloodline that we know of before the child is born. So what ramifications does that have, right? If Titus is the originator of magic,
right, or of that order,
right?
Yeah. Who knows? Magic, and again, there's so much about magic we don't even
Right, because
know.
also Jiha is a type of magic as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
which
Different
is
magic.
and then obviously Hippolyta with her Super Saiyan powers,
Science.
It's another, you could argue, it's another type of magic, which
Yeah.
is science.
Yeah. Well, I think this show has done a good job. Even though it's called magic, it's presented very much as a technology. Technology being there's a set of rules, and if you repeat the same actions over and over again, you get a measurable, consistent result.
Right.
Which is really just it's a type of science. It's a type of technology.
Yeah.
Which is great. So it means like you have these different, not necessarily competing, but these different ways that technology, magic, these systems are portrayed in the show. And I know we've already said we've only just scratched the surface. It does feel very much like the first year at Hogwarts, right? You're just learning this stuff. So
Another comment here in the chat from Sahara, not Sarah. I want to see a time jump to this decade's current political and racial climate.
yeah, that would be.
I think that would be very
wild.
that'd be interesting. I mean,
wild.
Watchmen did obviously a really good job of jumping to a future outside of the original book, which was done in the 80s.
Yeah.
It would be fascinating to see to see what Tick saw when he went to the future and saw his son grown up. Do we get then obviously all of the current actors and actresses in old people makeup?
Yeah, so to
Yes.
answer the question, I think it's both. I think it's anthological in terms of it's still set in the same universe, and there will be some of the same characters, and I think that character is going to be George. I think it's going to be the son.
Oh,
and
right.
I think the second season, if I had to make a bold, crazy prediction, is going to follow him as a young man or an adult. And like you said, I think you're going to get some recasts or some actors in older makeup. Maybe Letty as an older woman. Maybe
Diana. I want to see.
Diana grown up. Right, exactly.
I would love to see a spin-off with Diana and just her and her pet and her robot arm
her pet.
fighting
Well,
crime.
yeah.
or
Right. Well,
something.
if you're into imagery, right?
Hippolyta too.
Right.
Yep,
if
yep.
you're into
I would
imagery,
love to see Hippolyta's 220 years of travel. That would be incredible to
right.
to get a taste of. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Absolutely.
and if you're into imagery and what it means, right? The final shot of the show of season 1 is Diana,
Yeah.
right? Which to me,
Yeah.
if you're into reading what that means that the show, if there's season 2, is about her, because the show ends with her. It ends with her with the Beast, the protector. She is now the protector
Well, that
of
would
this
make
family.
me very, very
And
happy.
so that to me, if there's a jump, it's Diana as an adult and young George.
Nice. I can get
Protecting-
behind
and
it.
protecting young George. That makes sense.
I get behind it.
Here's to kind of play devil's advocate. Watchmen was another series where it was the flip flop, in terms of this next season's on, next season's not on. What happens, did this season wrap in such a way where you as a viewer and a fan of the season can say, okay, I've got what I wanted, I'm okay, the story is complete?
I wouldn't say it was a flip flop because Lindelof, like Damon Lindelof, the creator of the show, came out at the end of the show and was like, there is no more seasons to tell.
Right,
He was very
right.
definitive, like, nope, I'm good. HBO can do another season if they want to. He left it in their corner, and then they said, like, nope, we're good. We'll always keep the candle open if he ever changes his mind, but we're good keeping it as this one season. Misha Green did a lot of post-show interviews after the finale on Sunday and said they have talked about a season 2 and subsequent season and arcs for it to go for. But she carefully said that it has not been greenlit yet, right? So I would say this show currently, it's the recording of this podcast on October, 20th?
Yep.
October 20th, Tuesday evening, has not been renewed. So it's in HBO's court right now if they want to renew it or not.
Bilbo Baggins.
But I think to answer your point, if there is no season 2, I'm okay with how the show ended.
Yeah.
Because it did wrap up most of the major arcs. It did wrap up the story it told in season 1.
Yep.
Season 2 would be, new characters or some of the same characters in kind of a new situation.
Nice. So I think we're in a wait and see mode.
Wait and
As
see
usual.
mode
As usual.
on.
On, yes.
Guys, I think that's gonna do it for us. This was
Don't we need to
doozy.
answer the?
Yeah, we need
the
to answer the
question?
main question. I was getting there. Why to interrupt
Wow.
me, bro?
Way to be impatient, boy.
John, thank you for being on the podcast. Before we get out of here, I gotta ask you that question. I'm gonna ask you a
What's up?
two for question. Was
what's up?
Lovecraft Country episode 10 good, and was Lovecraft Country the season 1 good?
Yes and yes. And I will not only was the season good, some of the best TV I've ever seen. And the way they told the stories were things that, like we always talk about, we've never seen anything new under the sun. Well, we saw something new under the sun. You know what I'm saying? With Lovecraft Country. And I enjoyed it thoroughly. I want more of it.
Nice.
Now you get to ask one of these two fine gentlemen the question.
Krishna,
Ooh.
the question. That's all. You don't need to
Yeah, you
right.
don't need to repeat it again.
Yeah. Episode 10, the season finale, was good. I think it's my favorite. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the whole season to confirm, and I'm looking forward to that. And the entire show was absolutely excellent. Some of the best visuals I've ever seen on television. Some of those images are both beautiful and disturbing.
And iconic.
Mhm.
And iconic. Some of those images will never leave you, and that's a good thing. So, yeah, incredible. Arjuna, was Lovecraft Country episode 10 and the season good?
Both were good. I think the first season is one of the best seasons of television I've ever seen. The finale was good, as we said. Not great. I would put it in the bottom half of the episodes, just because there are just iconic, really great episodes
There
of
is.
TV.
There
And
is.
even though I thought it was a good finale, I don't think it was a perfect or even a great finale.
So it was bad,
No,
Juna.
I'm saying it was good. It was solid. It was a solid way to end the show.
It was your least
wasn't
favorite
my-
episode.
It was, at this point, I'd have to say it's my second least favorite episode.
You're crying on the inside.
I would say this is it's slightly better than because episode 2 was okay. That was
Yeah.
one of the more weaker
This
ones.
isn't, was it
But-
okay? This is,
Yeah.
was it good?
It was good.
Okay,
Ravi,
fair enough.
was that stuff good?
Duh. No shit. Sherlock.
What you said episode 9 was not good last
Yeah.
year.
No,
remember that.
I stand on that hill. It was not that. Episode 9 is.
love that.
Episode 9 was my least favorite episode, and
It's okay. You were on Whole 30. You were you were agitated. You were kind of irritable.
that's not true.
So
Are you still
we'll
on
give
Whole
you the
30?
pass.
Not really.
Nice.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A for lunch.
I had Chick-fil-A for lunch.
Wow, that's
Very fucking happy for that. Shout out to Chick-fil-A. Your
Oh.
delicious chicken.
No. We're not shouting out Chick-fil-A on the show. Good lord.
That's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you, John, for jumping on. Is there anything you want to plug before we run away?
Yeah, where can we find you?
Lajethrojenkins on Twitter, Dunkbait as well.
Nice.
That's all.
Nice. You can find us on Twitter as well at Was It Good, on Twitch, twitch.tv/wasitgood, and on Instagram, wasitgoodbtm. We're going to take a little bit of a break from the podcast. We will be back at the start of Mandalorian, which is October 30th.
So
Next
we're
Friday.
taking a 10-day break.
Taking a hiatus.
We're barely.
We'll be back in
Taking
3 months.
Get off.
Wait, what?
We'll be back, and we're actually going to have a special guest. Cara Dune's going to be here live on the podcast.
Ooh.
Just kidding. It's someone cosplaying as Cara Dune, but, Cool.
Nice.
Cool either way.
Nice.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Nice. That was great. We're still live, right?